Remember, if you want more detailed information on this restoration, you can go to the links down on the bar right below the video, being the links to the iBoats thread, which it has all the pictures that you could ever want on this restoration, my Facebook page, facebook.com/Frisco Boater, and my website, friscoboater.com. Friscoboater.com has a blog that's usually updated also, just like iBoats.com, but the first place to look is my iBoats.com thread for any updates. And if you want instant updates, make sure you like my Facebook page, because that's where I kind of post my thoughts as I'm doing things. So enjoy the video. Okay, so in order to do the bottom of the transom, you need to find the angle from where this part and the hull hits. So the outer skin and the hull, we need to find that angle. And I found this little thing, I think at Home Depot or something like that. You just loosen the little wheel and you get it to where you're happy with your angle. And then you tighten it down, and then you go over to your jigsaw and you match that angle by holding it up in line and making sure that it's perfect. What that'll do is that'll allow us to go and follow this line all the way around for the bottom to give us the proper settings. So what we did is we went ahead and cut just a practice template just to make sure, and you can see how the edge of this is nice and beveled, and then you just throw it in here, and I can see that it's nice and even on the bottom of the boat. That's what we wanted. Real happy with it now. So now what we do is we go back, we cut the big part. Go. Take it over there and double check. Golly, absolutely perfect. Wow. I'm very happy with that. Now, it looks like my template is a teensy bit off, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to retrace it just to make sure that we're all happy with everything. Okay, so now that we've got the transom set aside and drying, I got it cut, got it kind of test fit, and it's sitting over here. You can see that it's still got the PL glue is oozing out like crazy. We're going to do a little more trimming on it once it's all completely dry, but I wanted to get this thing 100%. It takes about 24 hours to dry enough where you can use it. You still don't want to cover it in fiberglass for anywhere from 48 to 72 hours. So we're going to let this dry really, really good. I'm going to heat the garage overnight so that way it gets nice and set up, and then that way we can really trim it up and get it nice and neat whenever we want to get it to fit right. So now what we're done is we've taken our first stringer and we've laid it out and traced it from here all the way back, and you notice that the stringer is not nearly as long, or it's longer than this. We just extended the line all the way down, so therefore hopefully it's the right size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my jigsaw, go ahead and rip it all the way down, and then once again we'll take our little angle deal to find the angle to the transom. We'll measure and we'll cut, and we should have an exact replica that's going to fit in there nicely. I'll use the circ saw from here on out.
Start down there, you're going to start here.
Start down here. See if you can put it over the side right there. You're on my cord. Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
Alright, so I wanted to kind of go in more detail about how to get the angle of the transom. So what we've done is I've put a couple of 3/4 inch pieces of plywood here, leaned up against the transom, like it is your transom in place. Our other one is drying over here. So we want to now, I just put a 2x4 up here, that's sitting on the hull of the boat. And this is exactly how the stringer is going to do. So you take and you loosen up your little angle finder, and you just push it down on here to where it's up against the transom and up against the 2x4 in a nice, perfect way. You pull it off and you hit it. So it's like it's a 70-something degrees around that area. So now we're going to take it over here and we're going to measure from the front of the stringer. We know from the front of the stringer to the transom, top of the transom is 138 inches. So we're going to measure from the top here all the way back to the back. And I'll do that real fast. I'm going to grab my tape measure. So I'm measuring from the front. It'll stay on here. All the way back here. I'm going to measure at 138 inches. And then we'll take this little guy and put him on the bottom, and then you run the edge of this right here. Oops, except don't let it move. And then we take our circ saw, so that's it. Now we go over here to see if it's going to fit in the hole. So here we go. I'll be darned. Wow. Got a little bit of a gap in between it, which is what we want. We'll actually fill that in with peanut butter. I can't go all the way back with it because I need to chip some of that peanut butter away, or whatever the adhesive was, but you can see, look at there. It's perfect. And then we'll just glue that on there. I've got a little nib right here I need to kind of chip away to get this thing to fit up perfectly. And actually, here's another thing we're probably going to do. This is a rough cut to begin with. Once you get this transom completely tabbed in, we may have to notch this bottom part a little bit to get it to sit flush against the transom. But this is a good rough cut for right now. But you can see that's exactly how you get a perfect fit to a transom. Well, after further investigation, we found that the first stringer that we cut is defective. It looks like the wood, when it dried, sitting in the garage. You look here, see it's rotating right there? There's a crown in the middle of that thing. It got really bad as it dried in the garage. So we're gonna toss this one and start over. This would cause a bump in the ridge, or in the deck, and we don't want that. So we went ahead and used it as a template and cut our second one, and it came out perfect. There's not a whole lot of little tweaking we need to do. I'll probably need to tweak that a little bit so it sets down a little better. And we may need to tweak the front end a little bit so it sets down a little bit better. But I've got, and right there's a little bit of bump See right there, yep. Where I need to maybe just take the sander and sand it down to make it sit a little bit better. But other than that, we're going to go up to Lowe's right now and get another piece of this wood, and then we're going to put it in here and then run the deck across it. And should give us, let us know exactly if we're okay as far as height is concerned. So I'll see you later. Well, as you can see, we have the two stringers cut and fit in here. We went through half the pile of wood over at Lowe's to get this nice one over here on this side. It's a little different color because it came from a different batch, different tree, the whole 9 yards, but they're the same type of wood, so it doesn't really matter. We got it cut, laid in there, lays perfectly, but it's slightly bowed this way. So whenever we glue it in, we're going to wedge something in between to kind of push these up against the strakes, so that way they kind of create and they follow the strakes all the way up and down. We don't have to fill as much right in here. We want it to go right up against there and make it nice and neat. So, but it's all done, laid in there, just to look for the looks right now. We're still waiting for the transom to finish drying, which is sitting over there. And then now we've got the 5/8 sheet of plywood. I really didn't want to use plywood, but this is 5/8 inch, and what it needs to do is it needs to fit kind of down in that little keel area right there. And that is the center stringer. It comes back to about that line right there, which is the beginning of the motor box. So what we did is actually, if you see this right here, this is where the gas tank goes, and that little line right there actually followed that perfectly. So I just brought it out here and then traced it onto the front and get us a nice rough cut. And then we're just going to cut it a little taller, this up here, and then we'll just cut it down once we get it in the boat. Now, this is longer than 8 feet. Actually, the runner, the stringer, is longer than 8 feet, so we're going to have to scarf two of them together. And I'll show you how to do that here in a second. Then once it's all said and done, we're going to glass it in really good, but they do not make anything bigger than an 8-foot sheet of plywood, so you got to scarf it together, and that's what it was done from the factory. So, all right, we're going to cut this, lay it in there, see how it fits. Best laid plans have been in mice, right? Interesting. Get my Sharpie. Alright, now that I corrected my little mistake, when I traced the curvature, it was not exactly correct. So we did the old stick it in here and trace it with a pin and a stick, just like in the transom. And it's perfect. So now, is that all do the end? Yes. So, now we're measuring to the bulkhead.
27 inches.
27 inches. This is going to be our scarf joint. Now we're going to scarf these two ends together. What you need to do this is PO glue, a couple of pieces called sandwich pieces. We're going to put these two together like this, and we'll glue it there. And then we'll put this over the top of it. Now I've seen people cut these at an angle also and scarf them that way. This is more of a butt joint than a scarf joint, but this is perfectly fine because most of the strength is going to be on the outside ones, and then when you screw this and glue it and screw it and put down glass over it, you're not going to have any problems. So this is what we're starting with here. It's just these two. Alrighty, so smear some glue on there.
Now we can do this, get on the other side too.
No, on here. Just put one line. so now I need it on this right here.
Here?
Yep. There you go. Okay, need some more.
I'll get a piece underneath that and get level it up.
You notice I left a little bit on this side right here sticking down because that's going to go down inside that little crack in the hull. This is just stuff you just got to notice as you're working on it.
You're above over here now, you supposed to be?
Yeah, all I care about is the bottom.
Oh, that's true.
All right. Longer ones than that. There we go. Now I will probably not leave these screws in here. Just, I don't know, who knows, we may seal them up and leave them. You know, a lot of people say don't ever do that, don't leave them in there. So now I'm just going to come back and I'm going to just smooth it out a little bit here. Make it look pretty. And then I'll do what I did with the C-ray. I'll take, we'll belt sand this down a little bit to kind of get rid of the knife edge. And then I will take some peanut butter and build this up so that way I get a transition. And then we can put the glass down without having to worry about it boogering itself up. So that right there gets us what we need. You know, yes, I know this is taller, but you see this line right here? That is the ideal height of what the stringer will be. We've left this taller now because we're going to get it in there and then measure between the other two. Since we didn't have this one to measure on or to have to trace like we did the other two stringers, now we'll be able to get a good measurement once we get in there. But we can't do that until this is all dry. You see that I've got it got the two scarf pieces on there, and then we just dry fitted it. I'm gonna have to sand these down a little bit too with the grinder because they hit the hull of the boat, so I'm gonna have to bring them up a little bit so they'll fit, and then this little thing will fit down inside that little strake area. And then I have it leaned across the boat like this because when it was sitting here, or when it dried, it kind of bowed out a little bit that way. Not a huge deal, but I'm just gonna leave it going the opposite side so the bow goes this way. So maybe if it sags a little bit overnight, it'll help let it lay down nice and neat. So we're kind of running out of things to do today. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna do these little side rails. We're gonna cut those out of, I forget what it is, half inch.
Half inch.
And just do them 8-foot lengths at a time until we get up here and just start screwing them back in. Here we go, put a little weight on it, make sure it, force it. So far so good, coming out nice. Okay, so what we're about to do now is we've cut a bunch of these 1.5 by 8-foot rub rails. They're going to go against the rub rail. We're going to PL one side, screw it on, but it squish out really good, and then we're going to come back once I get my resin and we're going to coat this really good and let it soak in. So the way we're going to hold it on is we're just going to use the rub rail screw holes. We're going to put some PO glue on it, and then we're going to go back with just sheetrock screws and hold it in temporarily. So check this out. This is Dad's great idea. We took, to get around this corner with that piece of wood, we took and set the blade to 1/16 of an inch and made a whole bunch of striations. And he soaked it in water for a little while, just to kind of soften it up, and it made the turn just beautifully. So we're going to stick some glue on there and screw it down. So I set this to a 1/16 of an inch, and I'm going to hold the gate open here. And that allows it to bend slightly, but we're going to put it in the water and soften it a little bit. That makes it easier. Ready? I'm going to take it off. Okay. So I have everything plugged and ready to go. Alright, you ready?
Get a couple right here.
Start down here. You up, yep. Okay, so the end of the day, and we have nearly all of the wood cut that'll be for at least get us started to be able to get this thing on its way back to being normal. We got the entire rub rail strip put on, along with Dad's ingenious striations and water technique on both sides. That side came out a whole lot better. We just used PL glue and sheetrock screws to hold it in, and then we'll remove the sheetrock screws whenever we pull it out. And he's holding up the center dagger right now, or we call it the dagger. It's not really, it's the center stringer. You notice it is actually a lot higher than the other ones. We're going to do exactly like I did before in the other boat, is we'll go across here, get our line, and then go up there at the same way, and then just strike a line all the way down, and then use our circular saw to go all the way up as far as we can. And that way we can get the exact height. But it's not wanting to lay correct right now, so that's why he's holding it up, because it's kind of got a little bow to it. But yeah, so everything's done. I've got the mock-up transom in here. The real transom is actually sitting back here, still drying. It should be done tomorrow, late afternoon. And so we just got this in here just for temporary, just to kind of see how things are laying out. And I'm happy so far how this is working. So now, I think we're done until we see stuff next week. It's kind of depressing. We can't really do much at all. I may just go see if I can find some chop strand locally and a little bit. I've got, like I said, I've got a little bit of resin left over. Maybe we'll get the transom at least put in this week. We'll see. I can't promise anything. But anyway, there we go.